What is going on, everybody? What is going on? It is your boy Show 9. I'm kicking it here with Crypto WendyO. And what's up, Wendy? How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good, good. So we're just gonna dive in. We're just gonna do a fun little live stream, chat a little bit about the state of ICOs at the moment, transparency, what's going wrong, and how we think it's affecting the state of the market.
Let's
So
do it.
let's do it. Where would you like to start?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. I'm trying to open up another window. All right, cool. Where would you like to start?
So I want to talk about, we obviously had this really, really awesome bull season. We had all these, all these new ICOs, all these new coin companies coming up. But at the end of the day, where are these companies now? What are they doing now?
It's a great question. It's a great question. It's a big issue. I mean, it's not just like what are they doing now, but like we haven't heard any updates, not a single thing from a lot of these companies that raised 30, 40, 50 million in February, January, etc. And yeah, it's a big issue. It's a big issue right now.
And then also too, everybody has these great, beautiful, big roadmaps and they're promising to do all these things, but it's like, there's very few projects that I actually see tweets out that are like, oh, we did this, or we accomplished this, or we're doing this, or doing anything. Nobody is doing anything. I feel like I see more of people, like just regular people like you and I tweeting stuff. I don't see any of these projects tweeting things. I don't see they're claiming to have marketing budgets and they're claiming to allocate certain amount of funds to their marketing, but I'm not even seeing too much being done for the majority of companies.
100%. And that makes that opens up Pandora's box, that opens up the questions of like, where did these ICOs put their money? Are they out of money? Are they completely abandoning the project? Like what's going on here, And I think like over the next 6 to 8 months, especially if we stay in this bear market, I think we're going to see a lot of that happening. With companies just kind of leaving and abandoning the projects and moving on, and a lot of bag holders and investors looking around dumbfounded, being like, okay, well, I was holding this fucking coin because I believed in this project, but I didn't hear an update from the team for 3 months, 6 months, etc. And now all of a sudden they're gone, and what do I do now? And to kind of like tie this all together and like, why is this actually relevant? Like rather than just two people talking about the possibilities of things happening. I think it's relevant because like the fact of the matter is like the state of the market right now is screwed, and it's not just screwed because a bunch of people bought high and a bunch of people have been selling off. It's screwed because the market's diluted and there's too many projects, and specifically too many shit projects happening in the space that that frankly won't survive longer than maybe a year or two, depending on how they use their funds. And with so much dilution, there's not enough clarity, and without enough clarity, we can't like progress as a community. At least that's my opinion.
Well, I agree with that. Like today I was in class and I was talking to two of my classmates in my operations management course, and I was talking to them and they're asking me to explain to them about crypto because they know that that's what I do full time. And they're like, why does every project need a token? Why isn't there just one currency? And I was explaining it to them, these projects that they start up and they raise funds for their project, which is great. And a lot of projects need tokens and coins to be able to do what they want to do. But just the fact that I was telling them that, they had a hard time understanding why there's so many different currencies and so many different projects out there. And they're like, why isn't there just like 5 or 10 or, 5 or 10 different currencies? It wasn't really tangible. It wasn't something that they could understand. And I think that's another issue that we're having as far as bringing in mass adoption and bringing new people in, is because our space is so like, I like that we're decentralized. I like that we're kind of like in the wild, wild west, but at the same time, it's not doing us really any good because our market cap is not increasing. The quality of projects are not, they're just not there. And on top of it too, we have no idea what these teams are spending their money on. Like what you talked about, they're making $30-40 million and we have no idea. They have their token economics on their website for the ICOs that are saying, oh, 30% here, 40% here, 50% here. But really at the end of the day, what regular stocks and regular companies, they have to report to the SEC yearly, yearly, quarterly, or bi-yearly, and they have to have like an income report with everything, with their assets and with their liabilities and their debts and the owner's equity, all those things. Most projects don't do that, because I put a poll out and I believe there was one person that that commented with Ven or Ven chain, and that was the only project. And this was out of, I think, like 300 people had answered it, and nobody can bring up any other projects that were doing that.
100%, 100%. And I think you, like, specific point you brought up there right now is like, yeah, we're decentralized. Yeah, we're not, like, I guess, overruled by the government. And so a lot of people have come in and they've raised money for ICOs in a way that wouldn't fly with regulation. You know what I mean? Like, not just raise money with ICOs, but these people have pretty much raised money without any backing, in terms of, like, for example, like, these companies have raised like $30 million, but the founders have never even seen like $1 million in their own bank account or in their own companies before. And I think that's the huge issue, is like, yeah, we're in a decentralized, deregulated zone right now. But is that really good? And, you know, everybody in January and December and before, all before then, they were all fighting and saying, you know, regulation's bad. It's bad for the space. It's going to hurt the space. But the matter of fact is, I think we're all seeing the actual importance of regulation right now. We're all kind of actually experiencing it firsthand and being like, oh, so we thought regulation was going to kill the volatility, was going to kill the fun of crypto, but the reality is, like, it's actually going to add some legitimacy to this space and actually be able to, like, say, like, oh, this project is good and this project is bad. Because right now there's no clarity around that, you know? Like, the matter of fact is, like, people are investing in, like, projects that are complete shit, but they've been tricked to believe they're amazing. And vice versa as well. People are not investing in amazing projects because either they've been tricked to think they're shit or they just don't know about them.
Right. I feel like some of the better projects are some of the ones that were not ICOs. I'm always bullish on projects that were not ICOs, because I feel that those companies, that those teams, they believe in themselves and their project so much. They're like, we don't need to raise $30 million. We're going to go find angel investors. We're going to go find this or that. And we're going to raise like $20,000, or we're going to do it ourselves, or whatever, you know, whatever the cost is. And they're putting a lot of the time and effort into it themselves, or getting volunteers or whatnot. So you have projects like that are still around, the teams are still working nonstop on them. So it's kind of like, I feel that's another hard thing for investors as well, is like, what is a quality project? Because you have people saying, oh, like, you'll get like big names saying, oh, this, and this, but then they end up not doing anything. Where you have some of these smaller projects that didn't have ICOs, where they're actually doing something and they're just got angel investors or community involvement.
Exactly. And you bring up a big question there, is like, what is a good project versus what is a bad project? Well, the matter of fact is, it's all smoke and mirrors right now. You know, like, the majority of projects, you'll read about them, you'll be like, yo, this is fucking sick. This is so dope. This sounds like something that's going to revolutionize the industry or revolutionize the world in one way, shape, or form. And while the idea might be there and that might be good, it's all smoke and mirrors. There's no transparency behind it. So you don't know, like, whether these companies have actually wasted all their money. You don't know how far they actually are in development. All you know is the little, like, 1 or 2% snippets that they give you and they choose to give you. Yeah.
No, I totally agree with that. And another thing that I'm seeing is that, like, what's like we're gonna have, like, what do we have? We have, like, Coin Market Cap has like 1,700 coins or 1,800 coins now. Like, what's gonna happen to all those dead projects? Like, they're just gonna, like, get delisted and go away. Like what is gonna happen?
I mean, my opinion is, I don't think they're gonna be delisted. I don't think they're gonna die, but I do think, like, they'll probably end up being like fucking Dogecoin, you know, where they're just like pumped at random, you know, like.
But the argument with that is Dogecoin actually people do like that, and they're able to actually use it for something. And I think that, I don't know too much about the whole project. I didn't read their white paper or even know if they have one, but I know people that use Dogecoin to move Bitcoin from exchange or to move other currencies from exchange to exchange, because it's fast and because it's cheap.
Totally. That's true. I guess a better example would be like BitConnect, you know, like BitConnect,
yes,
is dead, right? Like, everybody knows that the project BitConnect is dead. But the matter of fact is that coin still has like 10 or 15 cents of value per coin, something ridiculous. And
that's
still
crazy.
Decently large market cap for a project that, like, is dead. There is no future to it. Nothing will happen with BitConnect. And I think that's what we're going to see with these other projects, is something that's similar. And yeah, I'm also super curious to see like what actually happens, because like we're going to have this whole ecosystem of legit projects, and then we're going to have an ecosystem of projects that have literally failed but are still listed on exchanges, are still like in the ecosystem in some way, shape, or form. It's like,
Right.
like their skeleton is around, you know.
What do you think about the rebrand? Like, because I know some projects have been rebranded and then they were able to do good things. I think Verge is an example of that. How do you feel about those types of projects, or rebranding essentially?
I mean, I think that's a possibility, you know. I think that some like new coin or new teams can come in and adopt the coin and have a whole new strategy and a whole new plan with it. Um, I think like it's hard to say. Like it just really depends upon the team, and I think that's like what it all comes down to.
Or the use case, I guess, what they plan to use it for.
Totally. I think the use case is highly important, but like I think the most important factor is the team. Because like
Right.
your team is not like 100% in it and like 150% in it and ready to execute and ready to do whatever the fuck is necessary. And we're gonna end up with more shit like Peepcoin, where like it just like gets hyped up and there's a lot of big news around it, and everybody's like, "This is the new XVG," and then all of a sudden it just dumps, and the development team exit scams. You know what I mean?
Right. What do you feel like about projects that are actually, because I know we've talked about this earlier, but VenChain or VChain, that they're actually putting their financial reports out there for people to view. Do you think that more projects should just be just should start stepping up and be like, hey, we're going to go ahead and we're going to release our financial reports and to become a legitimate project? Like, I don't, like me personally, if I was to see a project do that, I would probably be more prone to invest in it. Even if it was an ICO project, or even if they were in the ICO stages, I would be more prone to invest in it, because I believe that they're going to be transparent with me.
100%, not even a question. I do this with every single company that I work with via my marketing company. Like that's part of what I propose to every company. Because I think it's crucial. I think the matter of fact is right now, I would say 90%, maybe more of these companies have built followings and have built communities solely based off of the price of their coin.
Right.
So when the price of their coin goes down, the whole community turns against them. You know, I've seen it with OCN. I've seen it with other like projects in the space. And while the community members might be hopeful for a bounce in the price, like literally the only reason they're community members is the fact that they believe there's some potential for the coin to go 50, 100x in the future and for them to make a lot of money.
Right. As far as like, let's talk a little bit about like, because obviously like a coin needs to have a valid use case. But as far as these teams that, let's say that they raise like $30 million, as far as the type of people that they hire, do you think that they should be hiring people that have experience with like let's say like a marketing degree and that has experience with crypto? Or do you think that they need to hire people, or you think that they should hire people that are just like marketing people? Like what's your take on that?
I think some familiarity with crypto is good. You know, I think like it's probably going to be hard to, even if you're great at marketing, like you still have to learn about the space in order to be very good at marketing in the space.
I totally agree with you. I feel like a lot of these projects, I feel like they're hiring people, or they're having people enter the space to be on their teams that have no idea about crypto. And I think a lot of these team members, they literally have no idea what they're doing at the end of the day.
It's 100% true. It's 100% true. I mean, some of the marketing on the, like, well, if we're just like, there's other parts to a company besides marketing, but if we're just going to
right. No, we can talk about finance. We could talk about their operations. We could talk about their devs. We can talk about all of it, because it's all relevant.
Totally. And some of these marketing like teams or whatever have no fucking clue what they're doing, because they have no idea how to actually communicate with a crypto audience. Like it's a whole different realm.
Right.
It's a whole different beast in itself.
I agree, because I deal with some of that stuff that I get DMs for things, and they're asking me questions, and I'm like, dude, you're the marketing director of this coin, and you're asking me this. I had an ICO reach out to me the other day to do a YouTube video for them, and they were like, oh, can you chart our coin for us? And keep in mind, they're ICO, they're not listed on an exchange, and I knew that, and I DM'd the person back. I was like, can you, what exchange are you guys on? They're like, we're not. And I'm like, I can't do TA for you then. Like, I was like, you got to be freaking kidding me. And like something like that, like that's kind of, it's just a little crazy.
That's bad. Like, shit that's bad, but that's real bad.
Yeah, I was like, because I do FA and I do the coin reviews and I do interviews and stuff, and that's fine. Like I will, like, if a team is legit, I'll like, I can do a sponsored review, but it's going to be a non-biased platform. But also too, if you're at, like, the fact that they're asking me to do TA when there's no TA to do, like there's no data, like, I mean, that's kind of scary.
100%. I mean, yeah, that's just bad. That just shows you don't even know the industry.
Yeah, so I think we have a lot of that type of stuff going on in the space, and I don't know, how do you think we're going to be able to clean it up? Do you think that us as a community, we're going to have to unite, because essentially we are very small, and just start demanding more from the teams? Or what do you see to happen?
I think you're right about that. I saw you make that post, I think yesterday or something like that, about the poll about how are we going to handle this,
right?
And I think you're right. Like, I think the matter of fact is, like, we need to demand transparency. I think the people that are actually have quote unquote influence in the industry, or are talking with these companies on a regular basis, need to continually bring it up to them, continually have it at the forefront. And at the same time, I think it's going to happen naturally, right? I think, like, evolution happens naturally. I don't think
I do too.
Can stay stagnant for a long period of time. So I really do believe that, like, the industry is going to evolve naturally. It's just a matter of timing and how quickly it's going to do it. But I think it's especially in a bear market, it's forced to evolve very quickly right now.
I agree. I feel like a lot of people are tired, and I think, like, a lot of people are it's kind of sad and depressing, because a lot of, like, I'm a bag holder of a lot of projects because I got in so late and I had no idea what I was doing. And, like, I'll look at my portfolio sometimes and be like, man, I really bought this really high, and this team is actually really not doing anything that they said they're going to do. So I get it. Like, I'm one of those people, but I kind of think that the quality projects that are going to either stick around, or the new ICOs, or the new, like, any new even the non-ICOs, I think that they're going to start being more, well, I hope that they're going to start being more transparent to everybody. Because at the end of the day, like, when I go and I talk to no coiners and they ask me specific questions, there's some things that I can't answer, because it's kind of like, it's stuff that we do in our space, and it's normal for us, but it's not normal for them. Like, as far as the financial reports would go, like, that, to me, that's important. Like, I want to see where these teams are spending their money. Like, if you go and talk to traditional finance people, like, they use Bloomberg terminals, and Bloomberg, are you familiar with those?
No, not heavily, no.
So what they are is they're people that are in traditional finance, and they literally have a couple charts on there, but not really. But they literally have all the earnings and how much, and all the acquisitions and the real estate and the debt and equity. They literally have all that information for any single company you want to look at, how much a company is worth, and all that stuff is accessible, and you can actually see it. So, and that's something that we don't have. We have coin market cap, and that gives you the chart, and it tells you, like, maybe a little bit of FA if you click on the people's website, but that's all that we have as a space. And that's really, like, and now that I'm actually saying this and thinking about it, that's kind of crazy that we're relying on this website that somebody probably paid like a couple $100 for this information. We're putting our hard-earned money in. And we're just like, oh, we're just going to trust this team that they're going to put, $50 to dev work, and, or excuse me, 50% to dev work, and this percentage to legal fees, and this percentage to market. But there's no way for us to actually, like, follow, like, to track them to see if they're actually doing it.
I know. I think that's the thing that triggers me the most and pisses me off the most. Literally, like, how are you raising $50 million, like, minimum for some of these companies, and you're not even, like, opening up to being, like, where that money's going, and, like, not where you plan to put it, but, like, where it actually needs to go.
Exactly. Because, I mean, people make mistakes. Companies make mistakes. Like, I'm sure, like, Apple, like, they do, like, fancy dinners or fancy trips, or they, they spend money on things that they could possibly not, they don't need to spend money on. But at the end of the day, everything is kind of categorized, and it's kind of, it's accounted for. So when they go to present it to the SEC, like, they don't get audited, or they're not getting sued, or that type of stuff. And, like, what we first talked about earlier, I think the SEC is going to start really breaking down on a lot of these coins and a lot of these projects that are not doing what they're supposed to do. And especially if they're, in the United States, they're going to have to start paying taxes or doing something.
Yeah, I mean, 100% they're going to have to do that. And, like, let's even talk about, like, the fact of the matter is, like, most of these people are inexperienced. And
that's true. And they're very young too. And I have not, like, I'm a little bit older probably than everybody, like most people, but I think life experience does help too. And I have nothing against younger people, but, like, if you don't have life experience, it's harder to, I guess, to manage a company, and not only manage a company, but manage, millions and millions of dollars. Like,
exactly. And the fact of the matter is, they're like, the biggest issue like that I see is the fact that these people raised money without even knowing how much money they need to raise. Right. Right. So most of these companies literally actually compared how much another company raised and then came up with their number based upon another company's raise. Like, I don't think these like companies actually planned out and said, okay, for 8 months of development work, it's going to cost us 1.5 million. We're going to ask for 2 million in that sector just to have a cushion and to build a platform out over 8 months, etc. Then we need market. Like, I don't think these people actually sat down and built a fucking budget.
Or a business plan, it sounds like, either. And let me tell you, business plans are not, have you done one before? Because business plans are not easy to do. They're hard.
I have. They're definitely not easy to do at all. And yeah, I mean, the whole space, and not only that, but like, so like, a couple things. Not only that, but we're all like buying into that too, right? So,
I know I'm not saying that I'm better or whatever, because I was really stupid when I first started investing. So yeah, I'm an idiot when I first started investing.
Yeah, so I'm in the chat here, and Alex Choss says the biggest problem in the space is ignorance. People invest due to tweets, and they can't understand the fundamentals of each project. We should.
I agree.
Offering education. I agree with Alex on the education part, 100%. Because like, the matter of fact is, yes, these companies raised all this money, and like, I can sit here and I can fucking shame them all day for doing this, and I fucking invested some of that shit.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, me too. No, I get it. And I'm not saying anything bad about like us or I know we're kind of going hard on the companies, but also too, I feel like because they are companies, they have a responsibility to us.
I agree.
As well.
I 100% agree. They have a responsibility to us, especially as investors. Like, if I invested money in your project, there should be some form of accountability held. And I think this is like the conversations that we need to have as a community and as content creators, because like, we have a voice in this, like, whether like we chose to have a voice or not, like we have a voice in it now. And the only way that this is going to change as more ICOs come around next season and as SDOs come out and things like that, is through these type of conversations. It's through having this discussion and realizing that like, we need to be upfront about this. Like,
right.
Like, talk about it and make sure that like, people know like, this shit isn't okay.
So me personally, like, when I go to look and invest in a project, like, one of the first things I do, like, I don't care about the tech behind it. I don't care, that the dev did this or the dev did that. I look at actual use case, and I look and I see if I was actually like, if it's something that I could use or it applies to me or somebody I know. And I think when a lot of teams, when they're putting their white papers out and they're putting different things about their projects, they kind of they use a lot of buzzwords like blockchain or decentralized or, like whatever, but they really leave it, instead of making like a something like a summary or something that's easy for the average person to understand. They use a lot of buzzwords because that's what's acceptable to do in the industry. And I think it's kind of not necessarily misleading, but I think it's not really being transparent to us as a community to invest in it.
100%. So
go ahead.
No, go ahead. Finish your thought before I.
No, go. Let me think. Yeah, no, go ahead.
I was gonna say, so we see that there's a fucking problem. Everybody gets that there's an issue. What the hell can we do about it? That's the real question.
I think that we need to become, well, before I say that, so when you want to invest in like a 401k or like stocks and all that type of stuff, you generally go to a broker and you go to somebody and you have them invest your money for you. And that, when you have a regular 9 to 5, that's what happens. I think one thing that's very unique about our industry is we are doing the investing ourselves. And the reason, and like when you're going to a broker, those people have to have license, and they're the license is through the government of whatever city or state or whatnot. And they have to be accredited. And if they do something to break the law, they get their license revoked and they can't work. But at the end of the day, in our community, we're acting as our own investors. And I think that a lot of this financial stuff, especially traditional finance, is very hard to understand. There's a lot of terms and there's a lot of ideas and that are very hard for people to understand. And I think a lot of us don't know what we're doing. And I was one of those people that had no idea what I was doing when I first started. So I think that's another issue that our community faces, is that because we are investing ourselves, we're not educated like financial advisors or financial planners.
Exactly. I mean, I think 100% right. I think that's 100% obvious with all these people throwing money into shit coins at the top and ICOs that are just exit scamming and shit like that. Nobody has any fucking clue what they're doing in the space. We're all just throwing darts at the wall.
Right.
That tries to fucking like tell you they're a better trader or whatever. Like,
oh my God, it doesn't. And that's a whole nother thing. Like, that pisses me off. It's like, I post a lot of my free content on there and I do a lot of it for educational purposes. Like, I won't post specific entries or exits, but people will like literally look and they'll take my calls and I have to be like, dude, I'm not giving this call. This is not a call. I'm literally teaching you about the indicators, or I'm posting it so you can see my thought process so you can hopefully learn from it. It's not that. And I think people see somebody tweet something and they automatically assume that, oh, this is a good idea because this is this person's opinion. And then they want to make it their opinion without any research at all.
Exactly. And that's actually why I've strayed away from talking about like coins.
Yeah.
As coins online. I used to talk about it a lot.
Yeah, you have to be careful, because then somebody will call you like a shiller, and it's even if you're not shilling something, because it might be something that you believe in, or it was a business thing, who knows, like, whatever it is, I feel like people don't want to take responsibility for their actions.
100%. And yeah, like that's a whole other topic off of the topic of transparency. But maybe that's another issue for but yeah, I think like the matter of fact is something needs to change, right? And
let's do it. Let's change. Let's help them change.
I'm with it.
Let's help these teams change. Like, I think, like I said, I do reviews and stuff like that, and I always try to do them as non-biased as possible, because I literally go through the facts and then I'll talk about the pros and I'll talk about the cons. And I think it's important, to do that when talking about projects. And I think people should take that, like, I don't know, maybe somebody needs to do a class on like how to invest and like how to look at a project and what to take from it. Like, I don't know, maybe I'll do a vid, or maybe I'll do something about that, because the way I look at these projects, I look at these things very, very simple. I look at them as to where, can my mom use this? Can my sister use this? Can like my uncle use this? Like, is this something that's easy to use? Like, does it make sense? And I think when we're looking at projects, we need to ask those type of questions too, because, if it's not something that the average person can use, then chances of it, doing really well or being a good investment idea, I don't know. I don't think that it is.
I agree.
So yeah.
Yeah, I think like the matter of fact is like we're not like the bear market might turn around, like, but the matter of fact is we're not going to go into a crazy bear market until we're clear.
Right.
That involves clarity as an investor. That involves clarity as a trader. That involves clarity as a creator in the space and a founder and things like that. And the matter of fact is most founders aren't clear, most projects aren't clear, and the space as a whole it doesn't have any clarity. It's so muddled. No one knows what like. If we can't like really point out and say this project's going to survive for the next 5 years, like we're obviously in a space that one has a lot of maturity to do and two needs a lot more clarity. I think like we should be at least able to say one other coin besides Bitcoin will be around for 5 years.
Right.
The matter of fact is we can't say that right now because one, there isn't clarity, but two, because the technology hasn't been validated yet. Like by society, it might be validated by us as a community because we like
right.
and we're optimistic, at least a lot of us are, but society has not validated any of this technology yet.
I agree.
So until society begins to validate this technology, or at least the one beginning version of this technology, I still think we have a fuck ton of time and a really long way to go.
I do as well. One more quick question. What are your thoughts on a team having a wallet? Like, let's say that they raise all this money through their ICO and then putting all their money into a wallet that is accessible by you know, by like obviously put on the blockchain, and we can see every time they take money or move it out, and they have to like, and maybe that can be our way of doing a financial report, and maybe not necessarily having them release like a traditional financial report, but having them having like people be able to have access to their wallet, and anytime that they remove an amount of money or amount of ETH or whatever it is, they have to say, okay, this was used for this, 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 and this.
I think it's a great idea.
That would make it easy.
Yeah, I've talked to a couple companies that are trying to do that. I just don't know how they would regulate it and like enforce it.
Right.
I think that as a company doing it, but I also think like founders should have that too. You know, so I think founders should have like specific wallets for each company of not only company funds, but a specific wallet for founders funds. So that like as soon as like the founder moves their tokens from like their wallet to an exchange, like everyone knows about it beforehand.
Right.
And I think that would cause for a lot less issues with exit scams and things like that.
Right, definitely. Or they can have like, if they come out and they're like, do set salaries for people instead of being, okay, we raised $50 million, so I like $25 million of it is my salary because I created this. Like, I think if they came forward and they were like, okay, well, these are the set salaries, blah 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 blah, and then anytime they had expenses, it was just like, you know, these are the expenses we use, the, you know, this and this. That'd be really, really cool, actually. And I think for our space, that would probably work the best.
I 100% agree. I 100% agree. I think it's necessary. I think it's crucial. And the way that I'm going to start doing this, every company that I work with via my marketing company, like one of the main things that I talk with them about is transparency and try to get them to implement some of these things. I know a couple companies that are already doing it, VeChain, and a couple other ones that are coming out, and they're going to start to announce some pretty cool stuff around transparency. But I think like us as content creators, Wendy, I think like we need to fucking be talking about it online a lot. And the more that we talk about it online, the more people get riled up. And the more people get riled up, the more companies look at that and say, oh shit, we should probably take this shit seriously.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I'm with you like 150%. So.
Sweet.
And I'm glad we got to do this and like put it out there. So at least we're starting a conversation, and, you know, so I'm hoping that people that listen, that they, you know, that they're going to start a conversation too. And if, you know, just, we got to keep it open. We got to keep it going. And I know our community is better. It's better than this. Like, there's so many talented, so many smart people here, people that are so passionate about the space. Let's make it better.
Agreed. I love it. Well, I think this is a good start to the conversation. I have no doubt this is only our first conversation about this. So anybody who's listening, I'm sure that Wendy and I will jump back on more of these things in the future and kind of discuss this as things progress and as we see some movement happening.
All right. Thanks for having me on, and hopefully I'll get mine to work next time.
Perfect. As always, it's a pleasure, Wendy.
You too. Talk to you guys later. Bye.